Reality. It's an ambiguous concept. It's an individual's perception of environment and situations with their five senses. What that means is how you perceive it is how it is. So when we come to terms with that, we realize we, in fact, create our reality.
We create our own reality. We decide who we are and what we're gonna be.
Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Leveled Up Podcast with me, Mike Adler. Make sure you are following me on the socials, Instagram at The Real Mike Adler, TikTok at The Real Mike Adler, YouTube, you're already there, but hit that subscribe button and comment on these videos, please. I want to get some community going and I want to meet you guys, see who's watching these. So this week I thought, since this is the Leveled Up Podcast, I imagine that the people, you guys who watch this, are either entrepreneurial, maybe you have your own business, maybe you want to start your own business, maybe you're an entrepreneur, you work at a company and you're the best worker they have, always trying to innovate and come up with ideas to help the business. I imagine you're probably someone who is interested in leveling up in life, which kind of goes hand in hand with, the personalities that I just mentioned. So, because of that, I was thinking I'm always thinking what kind of content, what kind of episode should I do for, that will resonate with the people that watch and listen to this show. So something we haven't really discussed is leaving your 9-to-5 and starting your own business, your own venture. This is something that I battled with in my head, struggled with for quite some time. From a fairly young age, I always felt that I wanted to do my own thing. For a long time, that focus was music. And I kind of remember just always thinking like, one day I'll just get signed and everything will be, I didn't really think it through, but I just always figured I'll get signed by some record label and, that'll take care of money and, that'll be my career. Now, as with most people, things don't usually go as you have it planned in your head. And that's the case for me. I'm not bitter about it. I think everything happens the way it happens because there is a reason to it. And honestly, up until I was, 29, we had a little 2-man band going trip out here in Denver, and we were starting to get momentum going, and before I had a falling out with my bandmate / friend at the time. But my plan was like, okay, through my 30s, I'm touring. That's what I'm gonna do with that decade. And then we had the falling out, and it's just wild, life is just wild. Things happen that you never planned on. And now I'm approaching halfway through my 30s, and I really gave it some thought, and I was like, I like coming home every night. I had my dog at the time, Mac, and just the thought of being on the road all the time, it just wasn't that appealing to me anymore. And so that's why I'm not bitter about it, because it's like, I don't think I would really be that happy being on the road all the time, not sleeping in my own bed, probably not being able to bring my dog places. He's passed away since then, but and now my life's completely different, I have my fiance Jackie, we have our son, and yeah, it's just a totally different life. But it's also exactly what I wanted, I wrote down I remember writing down my goals, and part of one of them was to meet the person who would eventually be my wife, and that happened. And then I also had on there I want my first child by this date, and that happened before that date, and so it's what I want. But that's just how things are, you get older and your goals and aspirations just evolve, as they should. You should always be writing down your goals, but you should also always be going back to them and reflecting and seeing, adjusting them, because we should always be changing and growing and evolving, and when that's happening, your vision for yourself is going to change as well. But I don't want to get too far off on a tangent here, even though it all ties together, really. But so leaving the 9 to 5. Now because I have always been had this mindset that I want to do my own thing. I want to, I don't want to just be stuck at some job forever. I got in a cycle of, I'd work some menial job, and pretty much every year to 2 years, I think 2 years is the max I've ever worked somewhere, I would get bored and find something else. Or I realized because I am a good employee when I work for somewhere, and I know that, and when I'm not being taken care of the way that I feel that I should be, or compensated the way that I should be, I say, fuck it, I'm out of here. If they're not gonna take care of me, I'm out of here. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that approach. If you are working a job, there's two sides to everything, but in general, it's not a bad idea to stay somewhere in some industry, whatever you're doing, for an extended period of time, because that's going to allow you to learn the industry and really hone your skill, like gain as much skill as you can in a given industry, because when you have that kind of focus, it's going to allow you to, if and when you decide to do your own thing, you're going to already have your foot in the door in this industry, but also really have sharpened your sword, so to speak, with your skills in said industry, which is going to allow you to, really have an advantage in whatever it is that you are doing. The other side of that is like what I was doing, like I would go from one industry to another, to just wherever, like just to have a job. And the upside of that is, you get, it's like the whole jack of all trades, master of none thing. Like, you get a lot of different experiences, so you're more well-rounded in the sense that you have done a little bit of this, done a little bit of that, done a little bit of that, so like, then if and when you decide to do your own thing, you have, because when you start your own thing, no matter what, you're going to be wearing all the hats. So having that experience in so many different things allows you to be more comfortable with taking on all these unfamiliar things, because you're used to being thrown into unfamiliar things every year. So there's two sides to it. I guess I can't really say one's better than another, because I only know the one side. And I don't regret anything, but I could see how it may be more beneficial to stay somewhere long term. But it's also like, the hard part about that is you need to, if you fucking hate the industry that you're in and you're just staying there because you're kind of limited to like, this is all I know, so I guess I'm sticking with this industry. If you hate it, it's like you're just setting yourself up for a lifelong, like, just hating what you're doing. But if you love what you're doing, that's great, by all means, then stay with it as long as you can. But as far as it goes, like, actually taking the leap and starting your own thing, as I mentioned, that's something that I battled with that for so long, because I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't fathom, like, I remember looking in the mirror, just like saying, like, give me a sign, like, when will I know? How will I know when it's time to fucking go out on my own? And just being so frustrated. But it wasn't until later that I really realized that, like, there isn't like a sign or a moment, or like, it's literally just a mind game, and it's you just deciding this is it and committing. Sure, I mean, there's times where you may have no other option, and that would be your time to go, because there's literally nothing else you could do, but I used to, before I started my first real business, I used to tell everyone that you should start your own business. Everyone should just be an entrepreneur. Everyone should do their own thing. And it wasn't until I started a business for real, that I was like, this is not for everyone. You have to be a certain kind of crazy to actually do this. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think that if you have any thoughts of like, yeah, I wonder what it would be like to like do my own thing. Like, if that's an idea in your head, then by all means, I think anyone who has that thought should at least try doing something. Because otherwise you're just going to live with regret. Like, man, I wish I tried that. I wish I tried. Because even if it fails, you can always go back and get a job. But there's going to be a point in time where it's just not really feasible to start your own thing. And once you're like once you're an employee for your whole life, I mean, trying to go and do your own thing, I imagine is just like too much. There's people who do it. I mean, you hear the classic, Colonel Sanders starting KFC at like 65 or something, whatever it was, but stories like that sound great, but like you actually have to put yourself in the shoes of the person who has been an employee for 45 years. Like, humans get comfortable, and stepping out of that comfort zone, especially when that much time has passed, is just like not realistic. It can be done for sure, but it's like you really have to overcome quite a bit to change that mindset at that age. But there's not going to be like a specific moment that's like, now's the time, I should take the leap. It just doesn't happen. But if you are someone who has never done your own thing, had your own business, but you want to, you should stop waiting for signs and all that. Like, if you know it's something that you want to do, then you should do it. And I know that everyone's life situation is different, but I'll tell you, there's never going to be a perfect time to do it. So you have to just decide that, do your research, do as much as you can to prepare yourself, but don't let yourself get stuck in this over-analysis. That's what so many people do, is they need to know every fucking thing possible about what it is they're going to do before they even take the first step. So much so that they never end up taking the first step at all because the time's not right. I don't know this, I don't know that. You're never going to fucking know everything. The best thing you can do is just start. Now, I understand that if you have a certain income level that you need to be at because you're not 18 years old with nothing to lose. If you have a family and you have bills and a mortgage and all this shit, like, you need to be a little smarter about how you go about it. But just understand that there's going to be, in the beginning, there's going to be a drop in income, more than likely. If you're making whatever it is you're making at your job, when you go off on your own, there's going to be a drop. And you need to prepare for that. And just know it's coming. So either save up a little cushion to get you through until things start picking up, or it really depends on your life situation. If you can really live on next to nothing, by all means just pull the trigger and fucking make it work. But you have to start. Starting is the hardest part. Because first you have to overcome all those doubts and uncertainties and everything. But just know you're never ready. You're never going to be ready. You're never going to know everything you need to know. The only way you get there is by starting and learning on the job. Learning as you go through the shit. It's literally the best teacher is just throwing yourself in there and learning as you go. And don't allow the things that you see on social media be how you think it's gonna go. You know, you see all these people, all these 22-year-olds that are doing, you know, $300,000 a month or whatever, like, and just make it seem like it's easy. That is not the case, especially as a first-time business owner. Yes, there are crazy opportunities in today's world because of where we're at technologically and with social media, and there's all these new and different revenue streams that are out there, but don't let the 0.1% of people who have really lucked out, don't let that define how you think your experience is going to be. Expect it to be 10 to 50 times harder than you could even imagine. You're going to experience difficulty and frustration and just unknowns on a level that you can't even comprehend yet. Things are going to go so not the way you're expecting them to, in a way that you can't even fathom until you go through it. Like, you can't even believe things can get so fucked. But that's part of the process. And that's like where the real learning happens. So, you know, don't wait for a right time. Be smart about it based on how your life is at the current moment. Expect things to be way harder than you can imagine. But you will have wins too. And you'll have moments that you realize, like, this is why I took the leap. You know, like, I remember times like when I would be driving somewhere in my truck at noon on a Tuesday and I have my employees, handling the workload. And I just remember those moments being like, this is what it's all about. Just a year ago, I would be at my job, not allowed to leave as I please, like stuck in a building just a year ago. And now I have the freedom I could go home and take a nap if I really wanted to. Not that that's what I did, but like just those moments where you like realize your freedom versus, because like when you're an employee, like you don't have much freedom. Sure, some jobs are cush, but like if you have to go in and like answer to someone and ask to like leave to do something, like it's just like being in school. So like those little moments like that are wins, and they like remind you of why you are doing what you're doing. And those are what's going to carry you through the hard times, because it's like the you're doing it for, it's like a little reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. And then you'll have moments where you're like, I don't know if this is worth it. Maybe I should just go back to having a job. And for some people, that might be the best thing for them. Because you got to remember, like, entrepreneurship, a business is a long-term game. So much so that you can't even really, you're not going to comprehend it in the beginning, because you're so gung-ho about like getting going and starting that you're not thinking about 20 years from now doing the same thing. Like, it's a long-term game. Which is why, some people realize like this isn't for me, But if going back to a job is right for you, that's great. At least you learn that about yourself. But like, also, you got to remember that the real rewards of your hard work take a long time. And like, so when shit hasn't worked out after 2 years the way that you thought you were going to be a millionaire in 2 years, and you're nowhere even close to that, you gotta realize like you have to keep doing the same thing over and over and building those skills before you'll ever see the compounding effect that will get you the rewards that you're hoping for. Now, as far as the whole no quitting thing, you'll hear any successful person tell you like you have to just not quit. But they'll also tell you there are times that the vehicle that you're in may not be the right one. Most successful entrepreneurs and business owners, they have like a graveyard of businesses before they have the one that is successful. Sure, there's you'll find people who the first business they start is the one that got them to where everyone's trying to get. But for a lot of people, it's a matter of like, it's their 8th or 9th or 10th business venture that finally got them the success that they were after. And that's something that I personally have been dealing with and I'm dealing with right now. Just this season, I've decided to shut down my lawn care business 4 years in. And it's one of those things like, because you tell yourself, like, I'm not going to quit. But there's so many factors that go into making that decision. Now, if you just quit when things get hard, that's an example of just quitting. But like, for me, there's a lot of different factors that went into making that call. And ultimately, I realized that it's not the vehicle that I want to be in. I started that business out of desperation, and because it was like the easiest thing for me to start at that time. Now, it's still not an easy decision to make, but I know that it's not like, I don't see it as I wasted 4 years of my life, because I have learned so much in that time, and that knowledge is not going anywhere. That's with me for life. Like, I have that now. So moving to a new vehicle is not like starting from scratch, because they have all that previous experience. That's gonna be, I'm starting fresh with, I'm starting here instead of here, So those are things to consider too, because the chance that you pick a winning business and business model on your first go around, especially when you're starting with zero experience, just saying that out loud, you should realize like the chances of that are pretty slim. But no matter what route you go, there are fundamentals that are of business that are you're gonna learn no matter what business you're doing. And those things that you learn are applicable to any business that you may get into. And like I said, once you have them, and they're not going anywhere. So that's why it's better to just get started with whatever idea you have, just so you can start gaining knowledge and experience, because the experience is what's the best teacher. So the sooner, and you ask any entrepreneur, they're going to say, if you ask them, what do you regret? Almost all are going to say, I wish I started earlier. And that's the truth. I wish I started way earlier. But you can't go back and change that. So the next best thing you can do is start today or as soon as possible, so that you can just start racking up those reps, that time under the bar, experiencing things firsthand, so that you gain the knowledge that you can then bring into, if the business that you start ends up being successful, great, like that's fucking great. But there's a high likelihood that you're going to have to pivot to something else. But the more experience and knowledge that you can gain before doing that will allow you to start up here instead of down here on the next one. And then if it has to happen again, you'll start up here. And then before you know it, one of these businesses is going to work. Or by the time you start the one that does, you'll be so seasoned that it's like you're an overnight success. And that's a lot of times what happens is people have overnight success, but they fail to mention that they had 10 businesses that failed before then, and they built up all these skill sets and just scars and armor to deal with the shit, so that by the time they got to that 10th one, it's like, oh, like, this is nothing, you know? I'm a seasoned veteran at this shit. So that's when you see those explosive, like, you know, 0 to 8 figures in 12 months or whatever. Because they know what to do. So, I mean, if you're someone who has been wanting to start a business, I recommend that you just start. Even if you have to, you know, you could start a business on the side. At least get your, you know, get incorporated and make it official, and, you know, even the thing is, eventually you're gonna have to go all in on it for it to have a chance at succeeding. But like, you can at least get it started, even if you have a job out like currently. The big thing is that you take forward steps. Start creating forward momentum. Be proactive at making whatever it is you want into a reality. Because knowing that you want to start a business one day and not doing it is just as painful as working a job that you hate. Because you're going to be doing that regardless. But like, you don't want to carry that around. And it's just, when you know that there's something you want to do, but you're not doing it because of fear or lack of knowledge or whatever, when you do that, you're not living in alignment with your purpose. You have those thoughts because that's what you're meant to do. And when you are just suppressing that because of fear or doubt or whatever, you're not aligned with your purpose. So everything in your life is gonna be affected by that, because you're not living your purpose. So that's really why I feel it's important to talk about this, because I know there's so many people who have business ideas, want to do their own thing, but they just don't. They just suppress it. And those people are they're torturing themselves and those around them, because when you don't live in your purpose, your energy's all off, and that carries over into everyone around you's life. You're not being authentic, you're not being yourself, so everyone around you also picks up on that and feels the pain that you're experiencing and ultimately projecting outward. So that's why it's imperative that if you are a person who has the thoughts of doing something, that those thoughts are there for a reason. if you have those thoughts, you are meant to act on it. For you, for the people around you, for the balance of the universe as a whole. Like, be what you're meant to be. And yes, it's gonna take work, but everything takes work. Wouldn't you rather be working on building yourself into the person you need to be in order to live the life that you see in your head, rather than living the pain of going to this job that you hate or know that's not meant for you day in and day out, and just going through the motions and letting life just pass you by? No matter what you do, there's going to be pain and discomfort involved. But you can choose if your pain and discomfort has purpose, or if it's just because you're neglecting your authentic self. So, as with most things in life, this shit's a choice. You choose what you do, how you feel. You choose how you react and what actions you take or don't take, what habits you instill, what habits you drop. Like, it's all choices. And if you have just make the choice that's right for you, and you know what's right for you, because your conscience is telling you exactly what to do. Don't ignore it. I did want to touch on too the fact that a couple things. One, once you do start a business, I liken it to, I call it unleashing the beast. Because once you make that shit official and you get things going, it just starts going, and you become consumed by it. Like, it's, once you open that box, it's like things just keep coming at you, and it quickly becomes, you realize that, like, there's no such thing as hours like when you worked at a job. It's just, there's things that need doing, that need to get done, and you're gonna get them done regardless, no matter how much it takes. Because in the beginning, it's gonna be just you, and there's gonna be things that need to get done, and that brings me to the fact that this idea of balance. People start a business thinking that they'll be able to have some kind of balance, and in the beginning, that's not true. Especially in the beginning, but even for a long time, depending on how, serious, how big you are going, and like, there isn't balance. Your business becomes your life. It's everything, But that's what it's important to realize. Like, that's what makes it you so like emotionally attached to your business because it does become your whole life. But then when it comes to hiring employees and stuff, you have to remember this is not their business. You can't expect them to care like you care, because this to them is what your old job was to you. And you know, you just have to keep that in perspective. But that's the trade-off. That's why eventually you do, you know, make the most money in the business, because you're the one who has done, committed your life to it. But even then, like, there's gonna be times where you're like, fuck, like, this is all I do and I have no money. I'm broke. And that's part of it. Sometimes it's like that. And that's where being focused on the future will help carry you through, knowing that if you keep putting in this work, it will pay off eventually. Even if that payoff isn't what you expect it to be, and it's not monetary, and it's the knowledge that you gain, that's still a win, you know? Because then you carry that to the next thing. But, so be prepared for when you do unleash the beast. You know, your life will change. You're not going to be able to go out and do whatever because you have to get this thing done, these things done. Even though you've been working all day, you have to get this done before tomorrow. So it's going to be a late night. And the other thing I wanted to mention is about this topic is, like, once you do take that leap and start your first business and work for yourself, do your own thing, it might not be like this for everyone, but for me, it's very hard to go back to the old way. I mentioned earlier, you know, some people will be like, realize that this isn't for me and go back to getting a job. In my case, I have a very hard time saying that I can't really imagine going back to having a job. But it's difficult because, you know, when you're transitioning from one business to another, like, there's times where it'd be nice to have a regular paycheck coming in, but you gotta realize that when you're trading your time for dollars, that time you're not getting back. And if you're investing 40 hours into someone else's business, that's 40 hours out of the week that you are not able to work on your business. Not to mention, you're burning energy when you're spending that time at that job. So when you get home, which is your you time, you're functioning at a lower level. So even if you're trying to start your business while working your job, you're not working at a level that, like, you're tired, you're beat down, you have to spend time with your family and stuff too. So it's like, the trade-off is, try and get this new venture off the ground while you're working somewhere else, and you're working at, a fraction of your potential, trying to make this happen, or you run lean financially or whatever while you're getting the new venture off the ground, because the time trade-off just doesn't make sense. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get by, but all I'm saying is that once you have gone off on your own and done your own thing, it's hard to imagine going back. For some people do it. I'm just sharing my experience. So yeah, I mean, that covers the things that I wanted to touch on about this topic. As I mentioned, I'm shutting down my lawn care business, and I'm going all in on Leveled Up, which is primarily a coaching business, but designed to help people realize their potential to become the best version of themselves so they can live the life that they desire. I'm finishing up my first online course geared around fitness. It's called Get Fit Blueprint, teaching people who want to, know they have to get in shape but not sure where to start, how to go about it. It's going to be a course that covers what you need to do to get the physique that you want and desire. And that also includes accountability via a private group where people can ask me questions about the material in the course, as well as any questions that come up as they're going through it and starting on their fitness journey. So that's included as part of the course, and then also anyone who gets the course gets a discounted coaching service. There's an offer included that you get a discounted one-on-one coaching too. So I've just realized that I have these natural skill sets and abilities when it comes to helping other people and teaching and guiding and leading people through things. But I also have all this, life experience, all this shit that I've gone through and things that I've accomplished, and, just everything in my life that I've learned from, and whether it's good or bad, I have all these experiences that have molded me, and I'm proactively working on developing myself, personally, physically and mentally. And I just want to share, I just so badly want to help other people with what I know so that they can avoid things that I had to go through, so that I could fast track things. And it's just, I really am passionate about this. And that's why I've decided that I want to go all in on this. And so that's what I'm doing. So I'm excited, and I just really look forward to helping people. I really, really know that I can help people become a better version of themselves. And I just want it so bad for everyone, because I just want people to experience the things that I've experienced. And the thought of making someone's life better just makes me so happy and excited. So, if you're interested, if you need to get in shape, take the course. I break it down, everything you need to know to, get the physique that you want. Because fitness is the cornerstone to everything else. And that's one of the main things I've learned on my fitness journey. That's why I'm doing this, because it's it works, and I know how good it feels and what it does for you, and so I need to share it with the world. So that's what I'm doing here. I see the potential in everyone, and I know what they're capable of, even when they don't see it themselves, and I just want to bring that to their attention so that they can, so that you guys can realize what you really can do and help you get there. So if you're interested in the course, leave a comment, or if you're interested in coaching, also leave a comment. We can I'll get you all signed up, or set up whatever you're trying to do. But just know that nobody's coming to save you. You have to do it. And if you know that you're meant for more, if you know you have more potential than you're using it, if you know these things, it's on you to take action. If you are if what I'm saying is resonating with you, and you think I would be a good fit for working on getting you to where you want to go, that's all you need to know. Then just reach out and let's do it. No one's gonna come and help. It's on you to be the one to take action. You have to bet on yourself. This is if you need a sign, this is your sign. Take the action, bet on yourself, because no one else will. And once you do that, you'll realize how empowered you feel. And then the things that you'll learn and develop during the process is going to add on top of that. And before you know it, you're going to be the best version of yourself. And coaching isn't a lifelong, the goal of coaching is for you to not need the coach anymore. So you do 12 weeks, even if you do 6 months or a year. Imagine everything you'll learn in those times. And like I said earlier, once you learn those things, they're with you forever. So it allows you to start at anything in life here instead of here, because you have all of these skills and habits that you've already put the work in. So you're an optimized version of yourself. But so many people just think, I can do it myself, I can do it. And this was my problem for so long. It's I'll do it myself. So I'm constantly just starting at the fucking bottom, when it doesn't have to be like that. So if you are someone who has always wanted to have your own business, do your own thing, hopefully today's conversation has sparked something in you to take action towards making that a reality. And then I just want you to live your best life. And if you need to, optimize yourself, get the right habits instilled in yourself, if you need those things, I hope you reach out. I hope you leave a comment, and I hope to work with you so that we can get you on track, so you can start building this life that you deserve, that you have in your head, that you are meant to be living. So reach out, and until next time, be an action taker. See you next week. Peace.
We create our own reality. We decide